Hello guys, welcome to another video. See, imagine waking up to a possibility of a nuclear war in Europe. I'm talking about Europe. I'm talking about a continent that once prided itself as the garden of the world. So if you see today, Europe is facing fears it have never seen since the Cold War. So a recent attack by six US supplied missiles on deep Russian territory actually have heightened tensions dramatically in Europe. So countries like Sweden and Finland are now preparing their citizens for a potential disaster and urging them to store food, water, and medicine. Now, why has Europe reached to this kind of breaking point, and what does it mean for the world? So let's try to explore the critical events and the implications behind this growing nuclear threat. So what I'll do is I have a PPT to share. With that, I'll be able to explain better. So let's get started. So guys, I hope you can see the screen. Right, okay. So, see, the Russia-Ukraine war has now crossed almost close to 3 years, 1,000 days. So, what began as a localized conflict have grown into a geopolitical crisis. And Ukraine recently launched six American missiles into Russia's interior and striking dangerously close to a military base. So, if you see, Russia actually claimed to intercept most of them using the AS-400 missile system, which is very advanced missile system. The damage was enough to send shockwaves through the region. So this incident marks a significant escalation and also highlights how this war is no longer just about Russia and Ukraine. Global powers are increasingly actually engaged in this. So let's go further, and we will also talk about US involvement. See the see if you see here, US made missiles has been used, right? So that actually deepened Russia's suspicion of American involvement in this. So Russia accuses the US of directly aiding Ukraine and possibly even deploying military experts to assist in these strikes. While these allegations remain unconfirmed, it's not a confirmed allegation, but they raise serious questions about the nature of this conflict. And if you see, Russia's foreign minister recently stated that if American experts are directly helping Ukraine, this could push the war further into a very dangerous new phase. Okay, so right. Okay. Now, if you look at Putin's nuclear doctrine, we discussed about this before also. So, in response to these developments, if you see, Russian President Vladimir Putin have revised his nuclear doctrine. So, the changes now allow Russia to use nuclear weapon against a non-nuclear state if that state is being supported by a nuclear power, which means despite the fact that Ukraine is not a nuclear state, but still if Ukraine is getting support from a nuclear state like US, then Russia can use the nuclear force against Ukraine. So that's the amended doctrine actually. So Putin has even granted the Russian military also greater flexibility to respond to the perceived threat, that further raising the stakes. Okay, so this shift, if you see, is very clear warning that Russia is willing to escalate if its territory or sovereignty is actually threatened. Now, if you look at Europe's growing anxiety. See, European nations like Sweden and Finland, known for their peaceful and prosperous societies, are now facing unprecedented fears. So, governments are issuing emergency guidelines, advising citizens to prepare for worst case scenarios, including, let's say, nuclear war. So, Denmark Emergency Agency has even sent out emails urging people to stockpile essential supplies like food, water, etc. So these actions reflect the grim reality that Europe, once considered as a safe haven, is now bracing for potential catastrophe also. So if you look at this role of the S-14 missile system, see, one of the critical aspects of this conflict is the effectiveness of Russia's S-400 missile defense system. So this system successfully intercepted five of the six missiles launched at Russia. So it's a high success rate. 5 out of 6 means it's a very good success, close to 80% success rate. So and this high success rate actually demonstrates its advanced capabilities, and that is offering some reassurances to countries like India, which have invested heavily in this technology. And the performance of the S-400 could influence future defense strategies for nations across the globe. What are the global implications? So, guys, if you see the stakes, couldn't be higher. If the conflict escalate further, it could, have devastating consequences for global security. So the possibility of nuclear weapons being used remains slim, but still the risk cannot be ignored. So with the US President Joe Biden nearing end of his term, some analysts fear that this period could see a push for aggressive action in Ukraine, potentially forcing Russia into a corner. So despite all these tensions, there is still hope for diplomacy. The world must urge restraint on all sides to prevent the unthinkable. So, use of nuclear weapon is something which is catastrophic and it will affect the entire world. So, a peace is which is required. Diplomacy is what is actually required. So, a nuclear conflict would not only devastate Europe, but also set a dangerous precedent for global warfare. So the next few weeks will be very critical, and the decisions made during this time will shape the future of this conflict also. So that's how it is actually going on now. And guys, in this fragile moment, Europe stands at a crossroad at this point of time. So the warnings, the preparation, and the military escalations all point to world that edging close to a chaos. Okay, but it's not too late to pull back from the brink. We have seen that before also, and we don't want to escalate it. Even the Trump is also talking about the same. He is looking for peace. So, as viewers and global citizens, we must stay informed. We need to demand accountability and advocate for peace. So this is not just European crisis. It's a global one. It's a global crisis. So let's hope wisdom prevails before it's too late. And that's about this session, guys. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.